William Willimon was a professor of preaching, and he tells a story on himself of the time he and his wife went to a funeral at a little hot, crowded, off-brand Baptist church in the country in rural Georgia. And they wheeled in the coffin. The preacher started his sermon, and the preacher shouted and waved his arms and jumped around. "It's too late for Joe," the preacher screamed. "He might have wanted to do this or that in his life, but it's too late for him now. He's dead. It's all over for him. He might have wanted to straighten his life out, but he can't now. It's over." So Willimon sat in his pew, rolled his eyes, and thought, what a comfort this must be for the poor family. The preacher bawled, "But it ain't too late for you. People drop dead every day. So why wait? Now is a day of decision. Now is the time to make your life count for something. Give your life to Jesus." Driving home, Willimon ranted with his wife. "That was the worst funeral sermon I had ever heard. It was manipulative, cheap, and inappropriate." And his wife agreed. Yes, it was manipulative, cheap, and inappropriate. And the worst part of all, she added, is that what he said was true. What the preacher said at that funeral was true. And the preacher was only saying what Jesus himself says to us today. He told that story of the orchard owner. Remember, the owner of the orchard had ordered this fig tree cut down. It wasn't bearing any fruit. Why should it take up space in his orchard? And the gardener begged the owner to give the fig tree a chance to bear fruit. He promised to fertilize and water it, the tree. So the owner gave the fig tree a 1-year reprieve. The next harvest, the owner will inspect the fig tree. If the fig tree has no fruit, he will command the gardener, cut it down. So the Baptist preacher was only saying what Jesus himself had said. Before it's too late, change your ways. But change exactly what? After Mass one Sunday, the priest was greeting people at the door, and the priest had mentioned in his homily his work with recovering alcoholics. A couple in their late 50s came up to him. The man remarked that he had once had a drinking problem, but didn't drink excessively anymore. Not usually, he mumbled. And then he raised his voice. "The real problem with the world these days, the real problem is that all those young people aren't acting like they should." The man was pointing his finger at fig trees. And his fig tree was fine in his eyes. Thank you very much. The temptation for us church-going people is to act like we are the owners of the orchard, to act like we can judge the fig trees. And you have, if you've ever thought, or if you've ever said, the real problem with the world these days is, and you fill in the blank with the usual suspects, the lawyers, politicians, people on welfare, Republicans, Democrats, foreigners, Wall Street financiers, gay people, Muslims, immigrants, billionaires, global warming skeptics, climate changers, lazy people. If you've ever thought that or said that, you are acting like the owner. You're judging fig trees. The Lord is the owner of the orchard. Let me be absolutely clear. The Lord alone can judge who is fruitful. The Lord alone can judge hearts. Jesus had the harshest words for the good church-going people of his day, the Pharisees, because they found fault with others instead of helping them. Before it's too late, Jesus is telling you, change your ways. You are not to judge others. You are not the owner of the orchard. At best, you are the gardener, charged by the owner to help those fig trees bear fruit. You have a responsibility to change your ways and change things to help people bear fruit. Pope Francis has spoken strongly for the protection of refugees and immigrants. He's calling for the world to change its ways and how it treats people seeking safe haven. He's called for peace in Syria. Then last week he was in Mexico. He spoke to the youth. Pope Francis said, hand in hand with Jesus, it is possible to live fully by holding his hand. It is possible to believe that life is worth the effort, is worth giving of your best, to be leaven, to be salt and light among friends and neighborhoods, communities and families. You cannot hold the hand of Jesus. You cannot be leaven. You cannot be salt and light when your hand is busy pointing a finger at others. You can't. The Pope is saying, change your ways. In Tallahassee, the legislature is meeting and making laws for our state, and our bishops have been very active in supporting legislation for human life, human dignity, from womb to the tomb, from conception to natural death, standing up for all peoples so they may bear fruit. Dorothy Day is credited with saying, if you feed the poor, you're called a saint. If you ask why they're poor, you're called a communist. Wouldn't it be great if people said, you're always talking about the poor, you must be a Catholic. Well, like the gardener who is responsible for the fruit tree, you have a responsibility to change your ways and change things so that it is easier for people to bear fruit. Lent is a time to take your inner Pharisee to the confessional, to get on your knees and beg the Lord for mercy. The gardener was given a single year to bear fruit, so you have no time to waste judging others. God forbid that next Lent, a year from now, you're still pointing fingers at those people. Pope Francis has called for worldwide for Catholic churches to have 24 hours of reconciliation, extra confessions and adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. And that's going to be this Friday and Saturday. So if you are still alive in 5 days, if you have not yet dropped dead, this is your chance. This is your chance to change your ways, to repent from pointing fingers at those people. After all, when you point a finger at someone, how many fingers are pointing back? 3. Repent from acting like you are the owner of the orchard. The fate of your soul depends on it. Like Joe in the coffin at that Baptist country church, people drop dead every day. So why wait? Why wait another day? Why wait another day to stop pointing fingers at people and their fig trees? Why not help others bear fruit so that those people know they are loved, not judged, so that corporal works of mercy abound? No baby goes to bed hungry. No child drinks water laced with lead. Refugees have safe haven. The sick receive care and compassion. Prisoners are visited. We bury the dead. And we, the good church-going people, bear fruit pleasing to the Lord.